One of the political approaches in understanding the political behavior of the human agency is behavioralism. Maybe you are asking, what is behavioralism? Okay, I'll answer it. Behavioralism is an approach in political science which insists on analyzing only observable behavior of political actors. It starts with an in-depth analysis by scrutinizing the political behavior of individuals rather than the characteristics of institutions such as legislators, executives, and judiciaries. Also, it is a belief which insists that social theory can be and should be constructed only on the basis of observable behaviors for these observable behavior provides measurable and quantifiable data for research. Also, it asserts that for an acceptable scientific theory in social sciences, it is essential that the political behavior of individuals is to be studied and not the units and organizations which deals with political questions and principles. It is because the political behavior of actors constitutes the central aspects of politics. Yes. Uh, what is the difference between behavioralism and social sciences? Since it both studies, I guess, the behavior of individuals in the society. She will answer that. While social sciences is interdisciplinary, it studies a various concepts about human agency, but behavioralism has two unique differences from social sciences. The first one it focuses on the observable behavior, meaning what can be seen by the eye. While the second one is the explanation to that behavior should be susceptible to empirical testing. We should observe because we want to arrive at regularities in behavior. That is the two differences of behavioralism in social sciences. Mm. So it means that the behavioralism is unbiased and it has a neutral point of view. Yes. Behavioralism claims that it can explain political behavior from unbiased, neutral point of view. But setting aside all of these definitions and claims, behavioralism has one central question that can best explain what this approach is all about. What do the individuals involved actually do? How can we best explain it? And why did the actors involved did it? Tracing back, behavioralism incorporates itself in social sciences in the 1950s and 1960s. Its philosophical origins can be traced to Auguste Comte in the 19th century and the Vienna Circle in the 1920s. Vienna Circle is popular with their logical positivism. Logical positivism explains empirical theories through principle, meaning you don't need to go out in order to explain a principle or a theory. You just need to explain it and argue with it logically. Talking about positivism, which was popularized in Britain by Alfred Ayer and in Germany by Karl Hempel, they asserted that analytic statements made about the physical or social world would fall into three categories. The first one is such statements could be useful tautologies, meaning it has the same definition but two different use words. The second one is the statements could be empirical, that is to say that the statement should be tested against observation in order to see if it is true or false. The third one, the statements that fell into neither of the first two categories were devoid of analytic meaning. For positivists, in short, meaningful analysis could proceed only on the basis of useful tautologies and empirical statements. So, but metaphysics, theology, aesthetics, and even ethics were merely introduced meaningless into the subject of inquiry in positivism. Are two terms influenced by positivism in behavioralism. The first one is the empirical theory, a set of interconnected abstract statements consisting of assumption, definition, and empirically testable statements which describes and explain a set of phenomena. The second one is the explanation, a causal account of the occurrence of that particular phenomenon. Behavioralism and positivism share same ground in defining what a good theory is. First, a good theory must be internally consistent, meaning a good theory must not make statements that both the presence and absence of a given set of the previous statements or the antecedent conditions are deemed to cause the occurrence of the phenomenon that is purportedly supposed to supposedly being explained. Meaning it should not be self-fulfilling that what happens in the previous statements would assure the second statement that is being explained. It is very self-fulfilling in a way that you are using the previous statements to justify the second statement. Second, a good theory must be consistent with other theories that explains the same theories or set of phenomena. The third one is that it should be a good theory must be capable of generating empirical predictions that can be tested against observation. The only meaningful way in deciding the competing theories is empirical testing. It is in the emphasis of empirical observation and testing that produces two characteristic features of behavioral approach in social inquiry. The first one is the commitment to the use of all relevant empirical evidence, which means getting representative samples in each cases that justifies the use of statistical method or techniques in behavioralism. But behavioralism doesn't deny the fact that they are more quantitative than qualitative. But it doesn't mean that they are not qualitative, but they use more of a quantitative form of research, since for them that is the more relevant or the more appropriate form of analysis in their approach. But nonetheless, quantitative and qualitative forms of empirical analysis are equally acceptable in behavioral researches. It is that what matters the most is that first, it is used to evaluate theoretical propositions, and second, it is employed systematically rather than illustratively. The second characteristic feature of behavioralism is that scientific theories and or explanations must, in principle, be capable of being falsified. This follows the behavioralism's commitment to Karl Popper's revision of traditional positivism. For example, the statement in general elections, people vote against the incumbent governor if they are dissatisfied with its performance. Is the statement true, or is the statement falsifiable? The statement is empirically true, since the word vote and dissatisfaction is independently defined. If the word vote and dissatisfaction was defined separately, it can be falsified even if we wish that it is not wrong. Behavioralists then emphasize the twin notions that theories should seek to explain something and be capable in principle of being tested against the world of observation. For behavioralists, non-falsifiable theories are not really theories at all. They are merely elaborate fantasies of varying degrees of complexity. Meh, I don't like behavioralism. With the emphasis on data and eventually the downgrading of a priori theoretical reasoning, one of the criticisms that was pointed out in behavioralism is that there is a tendency to emphasize what what could be easily measured rather than what might be theoretically important. For example, the voter's political perception. Behavioralists tend to measure the political decisions of the voters, not the reason why they are deciding in a particular way. Uh, are the voters thinking, am I voting right? Who am I to vote this person? So on and so forth. The second one is the focus on readily observed rather than the more deeper forces that promote stable and change in social and political system. Behavioralists tend to shy away from the concept of interest, even though it played a wide range importance in Marx, Weber's, and Pareto's political and sociological theories. Even individuals, group of individuals, or even nation states are pursuing strategies maximizing their interest. Interest is important in understanding the context of someone or of that of a group of person, but behavioralists tend to shy away because they said that interests are hard to observe and can't be seen by the naked eye. Behavioralism fails to comprehend the big picture of social and political transformation since it neglects the notion of interest. It focuses on the statistical data, on the consistency. It neglects the structural forces within every individuals and every political institutions, every groups that drives them to do that specific behavior. Nonetheless, there are strengths of behavioralism that is evident. One, it is clear. Second, it may be possibly wrong, but it is better that it can be falsified than it to be impenetrable, that other writers would debate the meaning of what was already written. Behavioralism is political because, one, it studies the political behavior of actors who constitute the actual aspect of politics. Second, it attempts to improve our understanding of politics by seeking to explain the empirical aspects of political life by means of methods, theories, and criteria of proof that are acceptable to the canons, conventions, and assumptions of modern empirical science. Thank you for listening. I hope that you understand what behavioralism is and how it is political.